When your house gets far enough along in Revit, you'll get to the point where you're ready to export it and bring it into Twinmotion. There's a couple ways that you can do that, and I'm going to show my preferred method. Now before we start, let's just look at the materials briefly. You can see that I've got just a small material palette, but that I've got a distinct material here on the roof as shingles. I've got some shakes here on the wall, and then down low I've got some stone, and then a few other accent materials around here. Make sure that you've got your materials really well figured out before you export. It's a great advantage, but it doesn't need to be figured out to the point where you know exactly what it's going to look like. The fact that I have blue shakes doesn't mean that they have to be blue when I take it into Twinmotion. All it's really doing is saying this part of the wall down below will be one material, and that material is going to match whatever this one is because they look the same. Okay, and you can control that in most cases by going to the object, edit type, going into edit structure, and this is where you get to assign any materials. And that's for both the inside and the outside. And just keep in mind, once again, that anything that's assigned that looks similar here will remain connected once you get into Twinmotion. Meaning that if I wanted to change the color of the shingles or the shakes over here, all I'd have to do is change it once, and it would update for the entire model. Everywhere that you saw blue shakes, if I make them brown, they'll be brown everywhere else. So that's a great advantage, but it just means you really need to do your work right here in Revit to make all the materials distinct and separate, and then we can really refine them when we get into Twinmotion. Also keep in mind that I'm just using consistent colors, and that's where I'm seeing the difference in materials. I'm not going to go here to realistic because it doesn't really matter what they look like in a realistic way. They're all going to get changed when we get into Twinmotion anyways. Okay, and the next thing to do is to make sure that you're in a 3D view just like I am, and that you've hidden anything that you don't want to have carry over into Twinmotion. So that would mean both inside and outside objects. If you want them in Twinmotion, have them turned on. If you don't want them in Twinmotion, just turn them off here by hiding them. And if you're not sure if you want them in Twinmotion, then leave them turned on, because there's a way that you can turn off individual objects once you get into Twinmotion. Okay, the next thing we want to do is just look at the terrain. Is there anything that you want to keep about that? You might be in a project where you don't even have a terrain, and that's fine. Twinmotion is really good at building environments, so we don't necessarily need this, but if we do want it, then be sure to keep this turned on. And if something is important to you, such as the slope, like right here, I've got a high end of my topography and a low end. That might be kind of hard to do in Twinmotion to make it really precise around the house. So that's probably instruction for a different video, but if that is important to you, take the time to figure out how to use the contouring tools right here in Revit, and then you can bring that over with you into Twinmotion. Okay, so we're ready to go now, and we're going to go over here to the File drop-down menu, Export, and what I'm going to do is use the FBX. And I'll show this method first, and then I'll go around and show some other methods that you could use, but this has been my preferred method when I'm on a virtual machine in the computer labs or at home. Okay, if you have Twinmotion installed on your home computer, then you probably don't need to use this method. But again, if you're on a virtual machine, this is what I prefer. So I'm going to simply choose the FBX, and we'll just find a good place to save this. Okay, I'm just going to save it right here into this folder. And then once that's complete, we're pretty much done with Revit for a little while. If you're on a home computer and Twinmotion is already installed, you can use a different method for exporting to Twinmotion. Go to the View tab, and then you should have a Twinmotion drop-down button. And you can export as a datasmith file, which is the native file for Twinmotion. So we wish that we could do that. That would be the best case scenario. But fortunately, it also reads an FBX. That's why I did the other method. But again, if you have Twinmotion on your home computer, then just go ahead and export as a datasmith file. It will open right up in Twinmotion. You can even do some of this synchronizing and connecting. And what that does is it allows you to keep working on your project here in Revit while the project is also open in Twinmotion. And when you make changes in Revit, they show up in Twinmotion. So that's the most convenient way to do things. I have noticed, however, the version of Revit that you're using has to be 1 year prior to the version of Twinmotion that you're using. So I think I got that right. It could be the other way around, but they're never a match. So if you're in 25 Revit, you would need to be in 26 version of Twinmotion in order for the syncing to work. You might want to just experiment before you get too far. And now that I've got my FBX exported and ready to go, I'm going to open up Twinmotion. Okay, and here we are, and we're ready now to import a project. Okay, so from the menus down here below, we want to choose Import. I'm going to turn off some of these other things that I don't need right now. And we're going to click on the plus button. Okay, again, you could set up a direct link if you had that ability on a home computer. We just want geometry. So we're going to look at the first little option here, and then I'm going to click on Open. And we'll just go ahead and navigate to the same place where I saved the previous file. Okay, I need to push import here. Okay, it looks like we have a material conflict. We're just going to use the scene material. I don't know exactly what this is going to do, but I think it will be fine because we want Twinmotion's materials anyways. Okay, once that's done, we can turn off the import menu. Looks like I'm inside the house here. So I'm going to back away. And there it is. I've got the whole house imported here. And even though it came through, it looks a little bit off, doesn't it? Like the materials didn't come through at all. And that's okay. I anticipated that. It looks a little bit weird for now, but we'll be able to fix all that. The other thing is that I don't see the ground terrain or the topo solid that I created in Revit. And if I scroll down here or just move down a little bit, there it is. You can see it's just lower. And in Twinmotion, we have this starting ground. If I back up, I can turn off the starting ground, and you'll see that below it is part of my foundation, part of my basement, and the entire topo solid is actually here. Okay, so what that means is we might have to reposition the house. We might have to move the whole thing up or move the whole thing down so it truly looks grounded with that starting ground. So I'm going to turn that back on. And keep in mind, I know some of you didn't actually import a topo solid at all, and that's okay. You still might want to move your house up and down. The nice thing is, if I come over here into this scene graph, there should be a new folder now, and it's called Demo House V6. It's named exactly as your FBX imported file was named. So if you click on that, then I've actually got the entire model selected that I imported. And if you click on the up and down gizmo here, then, whoops, I missed it. Click on the up and down gizmo. You can pull the thing up and down. Of course, you can use the red one and the green one, and you can just move and reposition this thing however you need to. And right now that might be a little bit hard because we haven't really built all the surroundings yet, but we at least want to be able to see all this. And you'll also notice that if you get over here to the side of the topo surface or the topo solid, it's not going to merge very well. Well, at least not yet, right? There's a great big edge here. It's not going to merge yet, but we'll get to that and we'll figure out some things that we can do. For right now, let's go around to the front of the house. And if you're wanting to kind of work near the front and you've got the problem that I do where the sun is in the back, we can fix that. I'm going to go to Ambience and then Properties. And we might just change the time of day and see if we can get the sun over here kind of working in our favor just a little bit. Okay, great. And now let's go back here and talk about this folder. Okay, this folder is awesome, but it does have one problem. You can expand it and you can actually see every single item that's been imported from your Revit model, which is amazing. I mean, it's really cool. It's all categorized. Every single item is named. The problem, this list is huge. I mean, it's just massive. And so if you select something, you kind of go, I don't know where I'm at in the list, but I want to select, maybe after you're done with this window, you want to select the entire model again. So every time you want to select the entire model, you find yourself scrolling all the way back up, collapsing that folder, and then you can select the entire model again. What a pain. So here's a little solution that I've come up with. If you select something that's really easy to select again, like this roof, looks like it's stuck. You can see it's named basic roof, rafter, whatever, and there are lots of basic stuff in here. There's other roofs and walls and everything. So if we just rename this, we should be able to sort this so that this one roof goes all the way to the top of the list. So I'm going to come over here and right click and I'll say rename, and I'm going to put a 1 right in the front. I don't think that worked. Let's try this again. 1 space enter. Okay, and I'm going to do it again to this roof also. right click, rename, space enter. And then in this scene graph, go ahead and right click and sort alphabetically. Okay, now if I select the roof, it takes me all the way to the top of the list, and I can easily collapse that. And just to further demonstrate when I would do this, if I select like a shutter over here and I go, oh, I want to get back to the top of the list, just select your roof again, and there you are. And you can always collapse this again. Okay, so I've found that to be a great time-saving strategy, and I would definitely recommend it. Now, the last great thing about the way that we imported this model is that we can go back into Revit and we can make changes to it. And anytime we make a change, all we have to do is export it as an FBX file again, and then we'll come down here into import, and we'll choose our FBX file, and we'll simply refresh it. And if the new or the latest export has the exact same name as this original one, then it will simply replace this model with any updated geometry. And I will be showing that in another video. So I think that concludes what we needed to do for this one. Now you know how to import your models.